Hour, though, a dozen officers recommended for discipline, yet barely half actually get a mark on their record. It's part of an exclusive investigation that we brought you last week. Welcome back. I'm Russ McCaskey.
I'm Amanda Hall. More than 40 disciplinary actions were recommended for 12 Fort Myers police officers after a car chase that violates department policy and city law. But a close look at department records shows fewer than 10 of the actions were sustained by the chief. Wink Investigates reporter Peter Fleischer joins us in studio. Peter, why the gap between recommendations and the actual action taken?
It's a complicated answer, Amanda, but this report seems to show a real contrast in the way that the Fort Myers Police Department thinks it should police itself. Now, you can see on this disciplinary form, the chief, or in this case, the interim chief, would be the final reviewer. They handle this area up here. And when an action is recommended to them by FMPD Internal Affairs, they are forced to then make a decision. It's how they punish an officer for department violations. In this case, there were more than 30 instances where Interim Chief Randall Pepitone chose not to sustain the action that was recommended.
The initial incident began with a car chase in December 2022. Fort Myers police paperwork shows officers drove recklessly with no sirens or lights, breaking several traffic laws and violating various department policies. An internal investigation began in February when a complaint was filed February 7th and concluded April 27th. A recommendation that 12 officers be disciplined follows, including Interim Chief Randall Pepitone and Captain Victor Medico, a current finalist for the full-time FMPD chief job. But just because they were recommended for discipline does not mean those officers were disciplined. Let's start with Interim Chief Pepitone. His final action summary claims he, quote, knowingly approved the pursuit report despite being made aware that officers allegedly committed various traffic violations and violated various internal policies while sometimes operating outside their jurisdictional boundaries. The document shows Pepitone was recommended counseling and policy review, but Captain Richard Meeks chose not to sustain Pepitone's discipline, instead recommending thorough review of general orders. That means technically, according to an FMPD spokesperson, Pepitone's discipline was not upheld. The same thing happened with Captain Victor Medico. His paperwork claims he failed to confirm the accuracy and completeness of associated documents and reports. Medico was recommended counseling and policy review, but Pepitone chose not to sustain that action, simply checking not sustained. Therefore, Medico did not technically face discipline at all. A review of the investigation shows Pepitone chose not to sustain 31 of 40 recommended disciplinary actions. That means of the 12 officers to face discipline for the chase that FMPD command staff admits violated several traffic laws and department policies, only 7 of the 12 actually faced discipline. A review of Pepitone's interview for the investigation sheds light on his decision-making. Documents show he explained in his interview, "I didn't want to go the formal discipline route. I wanted them talked to." Pepitone also adds, quote, "I think I had discretion to handle it this way. It might not have been how it's always been handled in the past, but like I said earlier, I didn't ignore it. I didn't hide it or anything like that." Medico provides similar reasoning in his interview, saying he didn't believe anything was malicious, also claiming he preferred an informal approach with the younger officers involved. While the magnitude of this investigation is large, the FMPD policy violations do appear to be minor. None of the recommended discipline was greater than a policy review or counseling. But that doesn't address the gap in recommended discipline versus what the chief is signing off on.
I have requested interviews with Interim Chief Pepitone and other staff members at FMPD, but so far we haven't heard back. Russ, back to you.